Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another live stream. I know it's been a few weeks. I've been super busy, and a fun fact about the live streams and about my recordings: this will probably be my last live stream in this little office. I'm gonna miss it a lot, but I'm moving on to smaller and smaller things. So today, what we're going to be talking about is a variety of different topics. We'll get into it shortly, and let me bring my guest in. Let her introduce herself, and we'll go from there. So here we are, Anna. Go for it.
Oh,
How's it go?
hi!
How's it going?
I have been so excited for this. I think we've been talking about this for almost a year now. I was creeping on our last LinkedIn message, and I was like, so I'm so glad it finally happened. So thank you.
Yeah, no, super stoked. I remember you on Derek's channel, and I'm like, oh, that would be cool to get her on, talk about her experience, and all the cool topics that you have to offer. So, for those people that don't know who are you? What do you do? What have you been up to?
Oh, yes. So my name is Reanna Schultz. I have a very, very unique background, I would say, but a little bit about me. I am born, raised, and from Kansas City, Missouri. It is my hometown, and I always know someone's going to ask me about the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, they're amazing. Thank you. And yes, Taylor Swift does come here very frequently. But a little bit about my technical background. I have over 6 years of cyber experience. I started on the endpoint security engineering side, so managing a lot of antiviruses. And then I was like, oh, I want to do something different. So let's move away from the endpoint and let's go into the network a bit. So I did a lot of firewall management and dabbled a little bit into the big data side of things. So looking more into like the SIM area, right? How are SIMs managed in a business? And eventually I found my way into the security operations center. So I absolutely enjoy my job. If people are like, what is a security operations center? I always say we're the first responders for a business, right? We're the first eyes and ears to any cyber security risk or threats that are happening. I also call us the adrenaline junkies and the energy drink junkies as well, because whenever you see a cyber defense person, they're just always walking around with caffeine in their hands. So
Yeah, that's a good point. That's really true. I can't deny that. Obviously, talking about the caffeine, I go with obviously everyone probably knows with green tea. So it's something I do on a daily. So yeah, and that's pretty cool. Like, so being, working in a SOC analyst and all that good stuff. Have you have you been asked like, okay, why did you choose the defensive side versus like the cool hacker side and the offensive side?
well, sorry, Pat, but the defensive side is clearly way, way more cooler than the hacker side. No. No, it's funny that you mentioned that because when I was first getting into cyber, and I guess this is where we can kind of spill the tea a little bit. I brought my Starbucks cup with my tea in it so we can spill it. But or I also brought my Red Bull, right? It just depends on what I'm feeling. Maybe I'm feeling a little spicy. But one of the things, like when I first started getting into cyber, I didn't know the different avenues. And I think that was kind of a perception, right? When a lot of people first hear about cybersecurity, they automatically think about the glamour that pen testing is. And
Hmm.
pen testing's absolutely cool. I remember I was going home telling my family, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to grow up and be a hacker. And they're like, okay. And like, is that a thing? And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a thing. And they're
Yeah,
like, how do you do that? I'm like, companies pay you to hack their stuff. And they're like, that's a job. And I'm like, oh, yeah, welcome to like post Y2K.
yeah.
But like with me, as I was kind of going through my education and everything like that, I realized pen testing wasn't for me.
Hmm.
And, some people really enjoy, like, I call it the puzzle type of thinking, right? They have an objective, they have a goal, they know what they're working towards to with pen testing. But on the defense side, you kind of lose that goal, right? You're finding something that may or may not exist.
Hmm.
And it's that different type of creative thinking. I'm a very out of the box thinker. And so when I looked into cyber defense, I really enjoyed the hunting part of it, right? Trying to find that one weird abnormality in my network that might not typically be there, right? And it's almost like a treasure hunt,
Hmm.
essentially. And it felt really, really adventurous. But again, I feel like a lot of the times when people are starting to pursue their careers in cyber, they're not aware of the different paths, right? There's some people that are like, I'm very interested in cyber, but I can't program, I can't script, like it's not my passion. And I'm like, well, there's policy, right? There's GRC, there's security awareness, there's all these other different platforms that you can look at, and people are like, oh, I didn't even know that was a job. And I'm like, yeah, it's a job. It's really cool. People that
Yeah. No, and you made a very, very good point, right? Like, I don't script, I don't program. I come from more of a network system engineering background before I got into the world of cyber. And, I get that question if
Yeah,
it's like a student or if it's someone that follows me that says, hey, like, I'm not even in, like me personally, I'm not
yeah,
really interested in it. Like, I'll do it if I really, really have to. But it's not like I'm going to wake up in the morning saying, oh, let's go learn how to code today. Sorry, not me.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And and honestly, like it really depends what you're passionate about. And I feel like that's what people kind of forget is, why are you doing what you're doing?
Hmm.
If I went into the mindset that I was going to be a veterinarian when I was 14, actually, I wanted to be a professional princess of the United States at the age of 5. That obviously did not happen. So, but I'm not passionate about veterinarian science and all of that. And then of course, like when I got into cyber, finding what you're excited about, right? What you're very passionate about, because cyber is very intense. It's a very stressful, it's a very needy type of field. And
Hmm.
if you're not doing something that you enjoy, ooh, it's gonna burn you out. It
Yeah.
absolutely will.
And that's facts. And I wanted to talk about something. I'm actually going to make a video on it. I don't know if I'm going to make a video or actually do a talk, write up a talk about it, but
Yeah.
I'll give a sneak peek. It's about people don't leave companies, they leave managers.
Yeah.
So if you're not a good manager or a good leader, you end up losing good talent. So, and going, it's such a touchy, important topic because
Yeah.
people, managers or higher ups, like, oh, why is everyone leaving, or
Hmm.
why can't we retain talent? You know,
Yep.
take a reflection on yourself and just realize, you know. And I've been fortunate in my career that obviously I have friends and friends more than family members, like that
Yeah.
hate where they're at. And it's like, dude, like it's not the end all be all. Like if they don't appreciate you, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yep.
So that's what super 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 good topic to talk about, because I really really think that's important, and I'm probably going to do a talk either on that or obviously the importance of networking. And that's what I want to
Yeah.
segue into the next topic, is like networking. And so when you got into the world of cyber, did you get it from actually networking, or you got, like, how important do you think it is to network with folks, if it's conferences, it's LinkedIn or whatever, just a
Yeah.
community, because there's a lot of people that are like hermits or like really introverts that they don't really like to talk to others. But yeah, what's the importance of that to get into the field of cyber?
Yeah, I totally get the introvert thing. I am probably the most loudest person in the office. You always know when I'm in because my voice carries, mostly because I grew up on a farm and, we're used to yelling across 12 acres and just be like, when's dinner? So I'm naturally loud just because that's how I was raised. But going into more on your question, right, with the networking side, it is so important, in my opinion. And
Hmm.
I feel like networking is almost a skill these
Hmm.
days. You have to be okay going up to strangers, even though we were told growing up not to talk to strangers.
Yeah.
You you have to go up to strangers and say hi to them and be getting out of your comfort zone, essentially, because you can go get your college degree, you can go get your certifications. They will get you the interview, but they won't get you the job.
Hmm.
And fortunately for me, I was told very early on, actually during my studies, you have to go network. You won't get a decent job unless you go out and go network. And because of that, I was able to land my first job at a Fortune 50 company. So I was very, very fortunate with that. And that's one thing I absolutely take back from my STEM talks is, hey, your network is your net worth, right? And how you can be involved. There's a lot of local security conferences like B-Sides. There's a lot of different community engagement stuff like what you're doing on your platform, right? Just talking to people through LinkedIn and X.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I think that's awesome. And you touch on a few things, right? Like certifications, because some people like, oh, you know, I know some really elite hackers or
Yeah.
even defenders that don't really have certifications. They just have the experience and all that stuff. So, in your position or in your experience, like, do you feel as though like if you have certifications and did it help you, or if you don't have certifications, like, do you think it's really necessary to be more on the cyber defense side of the
Yeah.
house, like what you're doing?
So I'm going to tell you something super embarrassing. Like I said, I've been in this for 6 years. I don't have certifications at all, at
Hmm.
all. I know that sounds wild. And I remember it was actually an interview I've had, and I'm not going to name the company. I have respect. It
Yeah.
was probably the worst interview I've ever had. And I always tell this story just because I think it's important for hiring managers to also be, cautious on how they interview, but also for candidates to know what a toxic work culture can look like. And this was where a point in my life where I wasn't sure, where I wanted to be or what I wanted to do when I grew up, right? Like I was still
Hmm.
trying to find what I wanted in a company. I knew what I liked about my job, but I wanted to know what other companies offered. Continuous education was a big thing, retirement, a benefit package in general. What does vacation look like? Do you have
Hmm.
hybrid options? These are things I was trying to figure out when I was job hunting. And I interviewed for this company, and I know my worth. I know the work I put out and the skills that I have, and I know where my faults are. I'm very upfront. I'm very honest about it. I have nothing to hide. And I
Likewise.
went in this interview, and I went through the recruiter. The recruiter was very excited. So I went on head to that second interview, and I sat down with this interview, and the person goes, "So what are you asking?" And I had lowballed my salary, and I wish I didn't. I should have asked for more now that I'm thinking about it with this company. And I lowballed my salary by a good 20K. And they're like, "Oh, I don't think you're worth that much." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And just like flat out said it. And I was like, "What do you mean?" And the hiring manager goes, "You don't have any certifications under your belt." And I said, "What does that have to do with anything?" And so then he goes, "Well, I don't see how you're qualified for a technical position." And I was all like, "What?" I was all like, "Excuse me?" And if you're curious, this person only had a security plus. But I I was like, "What are you talking about?" So they ended up actually asking me technical questions because he could not get past the fact I was a technical person without having certifications.
Hmm.
And I obviously passed these technical questions because I have experience underneath my belt. At some point, you don't need an entry level certification to know that you know entry level things. And he was very flustered with the interview. And I ended up with this interview, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm just gonna be honest with you. This ain't gonna work out. I don't like, even if I went to the final round that you're talking about, I was like, I'm not interested." And
Yep.
like I can just already tell the type of manager you are, and it's not gonna vibe with the type of work environment I'm gonna be successful in. And it was, I mean, I felt like it was a huge power move on my end because, how dare he, first off, you wasted my time on this. But second off, I felt bad for the next person that potentially was going to be interviewing. So hopefully, the mindset had changed in that perspective. But
Hmm.
going back to if I was to do college over, if I was starting fresh out, I definitely would recommend just to go and try get a certification. Or even if cyber is something that you're just curious about, because even though you might not, pass the certification or whatever that looks like, you're still learning, and nobody can
Hmm.
take your education away from you. That is the biggest thing. And again, it will definitely make you marketable. And how the industry is shifting right now between college degrees versus certifications, it was very different when I started in 2018, and it's probably going to be different in a couple of years anyways. Who knows? There's probably going to be an AI security certification that everybody is going to be talking about. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome to express. I had a similar situation. When I talked to, I think Savannah was on my show, and I'm like, I had a situation where, we all have our strengths, weaknesses, right? Like,
Yeah.
just because, like, I've been on, not me personally, but I've seen people that are really good, pen testers or whatever, and they get onto an interview that they have to do like a CTF, and they fail because of their nerves,
Yeah.
or, you have a certain amount of time to do it, or whatever the case may be. And recently I had someone say, hey, like, I have to do this box on whatever, HackTheBox.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey man, like, let's see how it is,
Yeah.
And I did the box, I think, in 30 minutes. And he had, I think, an hour during
Yeah.
his interview to accomplish it. And, I guess where the certificate, and I'm making a point. So, like,
Right.
if you're saying, like, with certifications, if you're saying you have a certain cert, for an example, this person had his OSEP, which
Mm-hmm.
is offensive security, well, offensive, whatever, experienced pen tester or whatever. Uh, at that level, you should be acing
Yeah.
that box, in all honesty. And so I was like, okay, like, let me do it, because in my eyes, I was like, this guy's way better than me, because I know him from the community. I know he's like a buddy. I'm like, I've hacked with him, so I know his ability. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let me give this a jingle and see how long it takes me.
Yeah.
And I think I did it in 28 minutes or something
Yeah.
like that. I'm like, no, dude, like, maybe you're overlooking something. And it was the
Yeah.
Privest. It was like getting the first flag was easy, but it was the Privest that it was giving him a hard time, and he just forgot one simple step. So it's like, you never know, you know what you're going to be presented. And I think, going back to the interview thing, I had that situation happen to me
Yeah.
where, like, I was off this one day when I had this interview. I was having just issues, personal stuff going on.
Yeah.
So I went into this interview trying to disconnect from my reality. Like, okay, I want to focus on this. And they were just asking simple questions. Uh, but it felt like there was 4 people, and it was like a gang
Yeah.
of questions, like, coming from this side, that side, every which way. And I pretty much, in about 15 minutes into that interview, I did the same exact thing as you, but it was, I'm a little more, I'm a little more evil, or blunt,
Direct, I think, is the corporate word. Yes.
yeah, yeah. And I was just like, this is not for me. I'll talk to you guys later. And I just hung up the Teams chat.
Yep.
So the moral of that, like what you were saying and what I'm saying, is like, know your worth and know where you want to be and what kind of people you want to be surrounded with. And circling back to the community,
Yeah.
having, like, maybe little videos. You don't have to put your face out there, but like little GitHubs or little Medium posts or LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Just, have your
Just get
content out there.
involved. Yeah.
Involved, exactly.
And like even influencers, I did a STEM talk recently, and on like my podcast and everything, there's so much time going on behind the scenes, like doing research, setting up the podcast, setting up, reaching out to the community. And it's just so nice to have like I had a college student come up, they're like, hey, can I help you with your research? I need to build my resume. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Hit me up on LinkedIn. We can collaborate, right? And so now this is an opportunity for them to build their social brand without having to go, physically talk and stuff like that. And then also it's something that they could put on their resume as like, hey, I'm doing outreach projects, I'm doing something else, and then they could promote it on their LinkedIn and, everything else. So there's a lot of different opportunities to build and get yourself out there as well. Honestly, talk to an influencer. We always need help. We always need help.
Yeah. And that is super, super true, because same with me. Like, we make these videos. We try to help as many people out there as I can, and as we all can. And
Yeah.
recently someone just reached out to me and said, hey, like, I really, you get all these people that are just reaching out, oh, I can help you with your brand and help you with your social media. It's a lot of fibbing or bullshit.
Yeah.
But like with this specific person, or and I come to find out it's two young men, two, teenage, like 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. I'm like, awesome, dude. Like, I'd rather you help me and
Yep.
me give you a few dollars than you go do some stupid shit.
Yep.
And I don't know if these kids are ever watching this, but I literally told them that I'm like, kudos to you, because when I was 16, 17, I wasn't doing this.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm so happy. And it's like, okay, like if you can help me reach and help others,
Hmm.
it's a win-win. So it's like super, super cool to see, people reach out and just, the
Yeah.
certain, it's like a vicious cycle. You give and you get.
Yeah, and like that's another thing, people I always get the question, it's like why are you so engaged on social media? Why are you so engaged on the internet and stuff like that? And it's just it started with me telling my story, right?
Hmm.
And because you don't know who you're going to inspire. And this
Hmm.
kind of leads to another topic we were kind of discussing earlier, right? People don't understand how much work it is behind the scenes to provide to the community and just set up that next generation of cyber defenders or pen testers up for success. Like we put a lot of passion and time and energy into this just so we can set someone else up, so we can give them a resource, so they can take it and they build that next generation behind them as well.
Yeah, and totally 1,000. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. Yeah, the green teas. So you're gonna buy the next batch of my green teas. This is my crack. Um, literally, is my. So yeah, what's up, FedEx? ¿Qué más, man? But yeah, like I think it's so important, and even like this simple fact, like FedEx, the guy that's in the chat, like I met him in person at B-Side Orlando, right? And I
Yeah.
got on, I did a little video with him, and it's like now when I go up to Orlando, now I have a friend there, right?
Yep.
Like, and it's just
Absolutely.
like now I can go hang out, shoot the shit, blah blah blah.
Yep.
It's like, especially when you're moving to a new city, right? It's like, oh
You got to
man,
know
now
someone. Yeah.
yeah, it's cool to know people, and just that whole, I'm super stoked. So and just like having that ability to have community is so important. And two people, I don't know if FedEx, if he knows any of the people, but I talked to two folks at B-Side Orlando last week, and one of them reached out to me. Just I had a little conversation. I think it was by David's, by one of the guys' little rooms, and he just came up to me. They say, "Hey, I watched your video. Can I ask
Yeah.
you a few questions?" I'm like, "Yeah." I wanted to go get
Yeah.
something to drink, so we took a walk, and I gave him some tips. And he asked me if I can look at his resume. I'm like, "I can help you your resume, but I'm not no resume
You're like,
fucking
I am not that type of person, but I will try my best. I will give you
yeah."
what I can.
Yeah, don't ask me to write your resume, man. Trust me. But I was like, okay, like this is where I think, would be some topic or some pointers to maybe get past that whatever
Right.
ATS system or whatever. And but on the other side of that, I'm like, you can update your resume and all that stuff, but start connecting with people, like-minded people.
Mhm.
If it's at B-Side, if it's LinkedIn, if it's Twitter,
Yep.
etc., that's going to be way more important, way more successful than a fucking resume. Trust me. Like I haven't used my resume in over 12, 13 years, probably because the last couple of places I was at, like I just know someone or I network with people,
Yeah.
or just have I truly believe what goes around comes around. So if you're good to people, people are good to you.
So
And
let me ask you this, since we're spilling the tea tonight. Do you still have your first resume? Like ever?
my first resume ever,
Yeah.
I,
I feel like if you
I,
have it, we should do a show and tell one day on social media.
I, th- I don't know if I don't know, uh, because my first resume
Yeah.
is when I was working with a company called EdgeMed Solutions. So my first IT job ever was this company called or ICM,
Yeah.
International Computer Maintenance. But then they had a software called EdgeMed Solutions. So we did all the hardware stuff, and I I'm trying to think where if I have my resume for that, but I don't know. I don't know if I have my, because that's when I started making my resume, because I got
Yeah.
that job same thing. Like I got that job because that was my uncle's best friend worked there.
Yeah.
And, I was working with my uncle as an electrician and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And my uncle was like, oh, do you want to work with computers? Talk to Jay,
Yeah.
his friend. I was like, I'm too dumb for that shit. You know what I mean? I didn't. And yeah, I started working with Jay. And if you ever watch this, Jay, thank you, because he's the one that really kickstarted my career and got me the exposure to, now he always, actually speaking of Jay, he actually called me the other day and I need to call him back. But
Poor Jay.
poor Jay. Speaking of that, because I remember him text me and I was actually on a call.
You're
But
welcome, Jay.
yeah. So, and then now it's like, I remember him, reaching out to me a couple of years ago about some kind of Cisco issue.
Right.
And like, it's like, man, like he taught me so much stuff that I didn't know. And now it's like goes around and,
Comes
helping
around
him
full
out.
circle. Yep.
Yep.
But anyways, if you find it, I'm very curious. I wish I would have kept mine. My first job ever was at Buffalo Wild Wings. I was a waitress. In fact, I was Wing certified, which means I could have trained the next server. So not to brag, but I was a WCT, Wing certified trainer.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I had a bullet on my resume and it said I was able to identify 50 different wing sauces.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I did work at a place called Wings Plus when I was in high school. So I was just a busboy. And sometimes I would do like the dishwasher and I work in the back. I actually liked working in the back because I always was very anonymous. Even growing up, I tried to be as under the covers as possible. So like, even when I was working there, like I always like, oh, I'll be the dishwasher. Everyone was like, dude, why do you want to be a dishwasher? I'm in the back when no one sees me. But yeah, I would have to check. If I do, it would probably be in a Hotmail account that I had. I don't even know if I have access to that account anymore because that's the account I was using for like jobs back then, like when I was actually like writing
like
my resume.
One professional account and everyone's like, oh, you need to have like a professional email because it matters, and now it's just everything's through third parties, like
exactly. And then my professional one was like Patrick Gorman at hotmail.com. That was my email. So I haven't used that one in ages. But yeah, like, so yeah, we're talking about the influencer stuff. So I want to get on that topic for a second. So for those folks that, so what does influencer mean to you? Like for those people that out there, like when you say, oh, I'm an influencer, like what does it mean? What does that mean?
I'm going to be honest, Pat, I'm not an Instagram influencer. So I'll just start with that sentence right there. I don't even have an Instagram account. I used to back in the day, but not anymore after, I became an adult. And Instagram was cool when I was a middle schooler. And so I figured my employers and then people I meet in college probably don't want to see the pictures I took in middle school, which was things like the planking challenge or, just like, hey, I went to McDonald's, I took a McDouble and put it on a McChicken and that's what I had for lunch. Like nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
But, influencers is going to be different, especially in today's world, right? I feel like you have your fitness influencers that promote like healthy habits and stuff like that. Your Instagram, which is more like the fashionistas. And then now we're talking about cyber influencers. Yeah. Pizza influencers. Yes. I will definitely subscribe to that. But, no, like if we're talking about cyber influencers, I really feel like it's people giving to the community, right? We are looking at the SMEs and the masters of our craft here that are really highlighting things like cyber awareness, things how to get and study for your OSCP or Security Plus. This is what I learned on my journey, right? So people like that, absolutely, that's what makes them a cyber influencer. And I feel like some people have the misconception of, oh, you have to have like a specific follower account. You have to be disengaged on X. I am terrible on X. I cannot get anything to trend on X. I've tried. And this one guy, we were talking about different like social media platforms. He goes, oh, I really enjoy your LinkedIn content. You make funny videos. I'm like, the funny thing is I get so many views on LinkedIn with my videos. I go on X, I get 5 views. And he's like,
Yeah.
really? And I was like, yeah. I was like, they hate me on X. Like, I was like, the algorithm absolutely hates me on X. And then he's like, oh, well, you just need to be snarky on X. I'm like, I'm not a snarky person. You know, I like people. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah. And I don't know about you, but like, I really try to use my platform as, this is what I learned through my journey. These are things I
Hmm.
recommend. These are, this is how I'm doing something, or this is how you can learn. Because again, I will always say this the day I retire. Cyber security community is an amazing community. It's collaborative, it's learning, it's a community engagement, right? We're such a supportive community, and you don't get that with every single field at all. And that's
Hmm.
what I really, really like about what we do and the influencers we are.
Yeah. And yeah, when I think about influencer nowadays, I think scammer. So
Oh.
yeah, that's what someone said in the chat, and that is true. It's true. I understand what you're saying,
Yeah,
and I think at the end of the day, like if you're doing it with good intention,
absolutely.
that's what it's all about. And you'll know if someone's trying to scam you.
Yeah.
One, two, three. Like when someone's trying to beat around
I
the bush.
And it's crazy, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but my YouTube feed is filled with like people getting scammed and scammers like that. And kind of highlight this, I watched this video and this person debunks TikTok influencers, and they just go down this whole rabbit hole what their platform is. And this lady built like months, I'm talking months of videos about like her family, her personal life. Like you had as a viewer this emotional attachment to this person
Hmm.
because of how vulnerable they were. And at the very end, it was a pyramid scheme to get into essential oils.
I'm not from Jersey, so I don't know if you'd be a dick or not, but I'm not from Jersey. But and I used to be a scammer. No, son, I've never been a scammer. But
Not on this
you can
platform.
email me and we can talk about it if you're thinking of fucking being a wise guy. But yeah, so yeah, I just think like some people can be, and that's what I want to, the next topic I want to talk about. I don't know if this dude is a fucking troll or whatever, but like trolls on the internet, right? How have you dealt with people like that, like online, these kids and like these little scummy people, you know?
Yeah, and it absolutely happens. I mean, the more you put yourself out there, you, you're either going to make people upset or people are going to support you. And the thing is, at the end of your day, and this is something I had to learn a very hard time. I used to be a big people pleaser
Hmm.
when I was very younger. And I think everyone, especially in the tech field, they could probably relate to imposter syndrome at some way, right? And I truly believe it's because we're perfectionists. What we want to do, we want to have brand. And so when you first get troll comments, I remember the first troll comment I ever got, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, do I need to delete my social media account? And I was like, wait, I'm being a hypocrite because I remember reading troll comments on Reddit like 15 minutes ago thinking they were funny, you know? So, but like with me, it's just, you have to ignore it, right? Because people are going to do what they need to do. And I have to remind myself, I have no idea what's going on in people's personal lives. If they need
Hmm.
to troll on my video to like make themselves feel better for the day because they have so much going on, sure, go troll on my video. You can go make fun of my company's logo of a beagle, go for it. Like
Hmm.
whatever you need to do. But at the end of the day, I have to look at the value add and what I put
Hmm.
out there, and the content that I'm generating for the community. To me, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. If someone's gonna like troll in the comments or do whatever, that's I
Yeah.
mean, I also enjoyed the remix videos. I think someone sent me a remix video one time, and I think that was the best thing I have ever gotten in my inbox. So, yeah, thank you to that Reddit person that did that. Thank you. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, oh no, I mean you're used to being around scam. Okay, that's a different thing. Yeah, there's a lot of schemers. We call them schemers. We don't call them scammers where I'm from. Like there's mad people up there that scheme. Yeah, like you're always gonna get over, the get
yeah,
overs and stuff like that. That like, but in my part of New York, I don't think they're scammers. They're get overs. They're just. I think a scammer is. I don't know. When I think of a scammer, that's someone that's gonna
malicious intent,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
malicious intent. Like in New York, you're just trying to live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're doing what you got to do to survive. You're not, and you don't. You're scheming. You know what I mean?
Of
Trying
course,
to.
like I'm over here like casually like product placing, it's like Red Bull sponsor me. I don't know how many times I have to put a Red Bull in my videos to give them a hint.
Yeah,
I
that'll
have to
be.
start dropping in like DMs and be like, "Hi, you don't know me."
Yeah, and talking about that, like now we can go into that sponsors and stuff like that. Like getting into the world of like YouTube and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like I would love to get more sponsors, but how does people? Do you work with sponsors?
Not directly. And I know a couple people that actually do on the sponsor side. And what they ended up doing, and I don't know if this is like secret of the trade, I don't know, but I'm putting it out there for I guess anyone else that wants to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They had a decent following account, right? Because it's not just going to be with anyone, right? Especially when sponsors are starting to pay, they want to make sure like their product's getting placed somewhere, especially on a page that is going to get those views because that's how that company's going to market and make their revenue. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what a lot of people do, and they get to that specific point, there's two ways they can do it. They can get the virtual assistant route, and they pay for a virtual assistant to essentially reach out to these marketing companies and just put the brand out there like, hey, we're looking for partnership XYZ, this and that. We're looking for Patreons. And they allow that virtual assistant to essentially go out there and just be an agent, which is
Mm-hmm.
the second option. Some of these influencers, they actually work with social media agents now these days. And similar thing, right? They will do the back end work of reaching out, making the revenue and stuff like that, and they'll take a cut of the price. Where virtual assistants, it's sometimes a flat fee for a month, where the agent will probably take a cut price, and then the influencer will get the rest of it as well. Or there's some where it's like, hey, X amount of people use this promo code, we'll cut you a percentage from the promo code as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like like affiliate link, like an
Right,
affiliate type thing.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because like I didn't come into this game wanting to do that, but it's like okay, like at the end of the day, we do put a lot of time
Oh yeah.
into our craft or whatever you want to call it. Maybe
Yeah.
not so much me. I just talk shit for a few minutes on a camera and talk about whatever. And till this day, I never, like I'll plan. I want to talk about that too,
Yeah.
as well. Like planning your videos. Like, do you have like some kind of schedule? But
Oh
like,
man, yeah, I know. You don't want to know my schedule.
yeah, yeah, because I think I ask like John and I ask other maybe not live, but I always ask like
Yeah.
some of these people out there. I'm like, how do you go about? Because I've tried to
Yeah.
structure like, okay, I want to talk about X, Y, Z, and
Yeah.
have like a little not a script, but like points. Like I tried it again on my last one. Like, okay, I came from zero, like
Yeah.
welfare. I grew up in the streets.
Yeah.
Like if this kid's from Brooklyn, like I'm from East New York. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Right on Liberty Ave. Like that's where I grew up. Like I grew up in this kind of area. So, going with the scheme is, that's back of the truck type shit. Like
Hmm.
that's the way I grew up.
Yeah.
So going from zero, like
Hmm.
welfare, government cheese, to where I am today. And that's why I was like, okay, I wanted to make a video on like how to make the most, because
Yeah.
sky's the limit of how much money we can make. It's just how much time you want to dedicate to your craft and how much you want to put out there, right? You
Yeah.
like I said in my video, like you can make a course. Like I made a little course. You do other little things that you can do, like little affiliate links, and maybe
Yep.
like I'm participating in Advert of Cyber again this year from Try Hack Me, and it's like
Yeah.
little things like that. But at the end of the day, I do it mostly to help the people because
Yeah.
if people don't know, we don't make a lot on YouTube.
No,
YouTube,
we don't. And I'm sorry for 14 watching this. Being a YouTube content creator is not that easy. It's hard.
yeah, exactly. And people think like I remember I asked, I'm not going to mention that person's name, but I
Yeah.
asked this person, I was like, dude, like out of curiosity, how much do you make on YouTube?
Yeah.
Like, and at this point, he had probably 600,000 subscribers,
Yeah.
probably. And he was like, oh, like $1,200 a month. I was
Yeah.
like, what? Like,
Yeah.
and this is when I had like probably 6,000 subscribers. So this was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, no fucking way. Like, what? And I was making like, I didn't even hit the $100 mark, because you have to make over
Yeah.
$100 to even cash out. So
Yeah.
I was like at $50. I'm like, damn, I'm never going to make this 100. But
You're like, it's just paying for my green tea.
exactly. That's all I'm
Thanks,
paying for.
Kevin.
I can't even pay for it yet. I can't even cash out because I have to hit that 100 mark. But it's like interesting because people think like that's why like I respect when people do those sponsor videos because it's like, okay, like I'm trying to, especially like those folks that want to do full-time YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like, they have to make their bread somewhere, right? Like they have to make their money. So it's like, okay, like if I'm getting only 60,000 people watching my video or whatever, 100,000 people, and I'm making, I don't even know. I'm lucky I have 60,000 people in fucking a year. But,
Yep.
like, it's like, okay, now you can go, get on a sponsor for, I don't even know how much sponsors are. I don't know. I'm clueless with that. That's not an area that I know. But say I would guess maybe 5 to 10 grand. I would
Right.
guess maybe, so it's like, okay, if I can make 5 or 10 grand on a video talking about something for 30 seconds to a minute versus all month making $1,200, $1,500, fuck, I'll do put my ugly ass up there for a minute. You know what I mean? I'll do that for, a couple of G's. But yeah.
Who
Oh,
knows?
cool.
Maybe your subscriber will go up once you get into your new office. You never know. Or maybe they'll go down.
No, hopefully not. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Glenn? I didn't even see you there. Like, so Glenn says, yeah, trolls are the worst. Strip kitty and position. Yeah, that's so true.
See, that would be a good Twitter, or I guess an X. I don't know what a tweet is on X anymore.
Yeah.
That.
Glenn is a good guy. Thank you, Glenn. And what did Kevin say? Pat is great. I learned how to Wi-Fi hack, and I agree with him. YouTube is rough, but we have fun teaching. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Ken.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
That's
fun.
so true.
That's why we have day jobs.
Exactly. And YouTube can pay for the internet bill and mainly exactly. And you get to share knowledge. Exactly. It's like it pays for my internet and maybe my light bill if I'm lucky that month. Damn, bro, I mistakenly called New Yorker a Jersey head. You hate me right now. That's the biggest insult. Yeah, no, I think what's even worse if you say I'm from Boston, then I'll fucking smack you in the head. But and you can see I have a fucking Ranger hat on. Like, come on, if you're from New York, you should know. Unless you don't watch hockey. I don't know. Maybe you're a Yankee fan. But it sucks the Mets are out. But we can talk about sports all day. But yeah, we have like about 15, 20 more minutes. Yeah. And obviously, like, I want to for Pub Sub. Pub Sub is a sandwich down here from a place called Publix. So Kevin's obviously from New York. We don't have Publix up there. So when he came down here, we brought him to have a Pub Sub. So that's his new love. But yeah, Yankees. We'll see. I don't really watch baseball. I know they're playing the Dodgers, so we'll see how they play. I'm a hockey guy. Like the Rangers are playing right now against the Panthers, and I'm missing the game. Let's see the score. Let's see live. Let's see. I don't know. Fucking hell. Oh shit! The Panthers are winning 2-1. But yeah. So like for those folks that want to get into influence, be a YouTuber or anything like that, like what is some good advice that you would give someone that wants to get into the world, or what is some like misunderstandings or misconceptions, like you get into this field, you get into it, you're like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting that.
I will say I could probably write a whole book of lesson learns, at least
lesson learns.
Yeah, from the content creating side. Like on the cyber defense, we have this thing called AARs, or after action review. So like whenever a cyber breach happens, we'll sit down and be like, hey, how can we be better, right? How can we prevent this? And I could definitely do an AAR on my influencer life. But like one thing that I do recommend is start with the why. Why are you wanting to do it? Are you wanting to do it for fame, or are you wanting to do it to teach people? Or are you wanting to do it to be knowledgeable? Because if you're doing it for fame, like it's not going to be immediate. It's not going to be like an instant gratification. It's a lot of work and a lot of money invested into these platforms. And I remember when I first started, what actually inspired me was the public speaking side of things, because I remember getting on LinkedIn and I would see all of these cyber content creators. They would be going to conferences and they'll be talking about it. And one of the things that I like really sparked my interest was, I'm passionate. I want to show my passion, right? Because these other content influencers are, essentially igniting my passion for all these things. And so I want to go do it. I want to go talk about what I want to do. And eventually you go into the public speaking realm. And then I think that's kind of where you start, or at least for me, that's how I started finding my voice as a content creator, right? I understood where my passions were in cyber. I understood how I wanted to take my direction. I understood potentially and you also have to be an entrepreneur in a way as well. And you have to understand what is the market or the audience that you're trying to attract. Like with your platform, right? You do a lot of the pen testing, a lot of the hacking, and then you bring other people in to talk about their journey and their life as well. But with me, I was big on the knowledge gaps that people had, right? And I realized that our community was very tunnel vision to specific skill sets and specific certs. And that's why I kind of started doing my own content creation, right? And what people don't understand or don't see the behind the scenes is, again, right, we do this for the community. We do this to give back. We do this to inspire that next generation coming in. And we spend a lot of money on this stuff. We host our websites. We have to pay for streaming platforms. And then on top of it, there's a lot of conferences that don't pay for speakers. Like you have to submit a CFP like everyone else. And you probably have to go buy your own plane ticket, your own hotel, your own food. And people don't realize that. And so when you see a lot of these influencers that are traveling to different conferences to give talks for the community, right? A lot of the times it's out of the pocket. And that brings a whole other level of appreciation, right? Most of the time, these people are using their PTO for this because the company might not be sponsoring them. And it's just a lot.
Yeah. And that's so true. And we'll get to your question in a sec. And no, I wasn't in John Jay this year, but Kevin was, Kev Tech IT. He lives up there. I was in B-Side Orlando last weekend, but hopefully next year I can make it to B-Side New York. But yeah, most definitely. And you're totally right about that. Like sometimes I don't even remember how much we put into it. Like you said, website, this streaming platform that we're on right now, it cost me a couple of dollars a year. You know what I mean?
Yep.
A couple $100 a year, whatever. Yep. And even like Teachable, where I put my course, that costs $1,000 or $1,100 for the, like, it's not like, oh, I'm putting it on some platform that I got for free. So, just because someone's paying $100 today, like I have to, sell so many seats in order to even get that, back, so, and these are things like people don't really realize, like even this whole setup, this camera, this mic, like everything that goes into it. Obviously, if you're looking to get into this space, like you don't have to go all ham. You know what I mean?
No,
you can have
you guys start small. Yep.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. I actually had my Yeti. It's over there. I have a blue Yeti. And this is another thing that, a lesson learned that when I was starting, right? Like I reached out to, again, I'm not going to mention names, but I reached out to a few people that were influencers or YouTubers or whatever, just because I never, fun fact, if no one knows, or if you don't know, I never watched a YouTube video before I started YouTube. So I never got on YouTube. Like I never watched videos on here.
I don't think I can look at you the same. I'm gonna be honest. Like you missed like the whole annoying orange face, Fred Ficklehorn, Charlie the Unicorn. Like, oh my gosh. Like
I never, like
I think you know someone on the internet and you don't.
Yeah, no. I never played on the internet really before I started this. So, and the way obviously I got into it, I was doing a certification, Palo Alto certification with a couple friends, and they're like, "Oh, put it on YouTube," and I'm like, "I don't know how to fucking use YouTube." But if you look at my first video, it's how to install Palo Alto and VMware. But So yeah, and then like I just started out slow with my,
Yeah.
my 60. I don't even know how much that mic was, $100 maybe or
Yeah.
something. And then with a little webcam. And actually, my first couple of videos, I think I used my laptop webcam. And no, I'm lying. I think the first couple of videos I actually had like a Logitech like plugged in and had it like a headset, not even like a mic. I would have to go back and look at some of my beginning videos. It's almost been 5 years now, but yeah. So just remember, just start out. No, nope, I never played video games yet. That was a fun conversation with Federico.
Wait,
No,
what?
I never played a video game. I never played video games. Yeah. Another fun fact: everyone's a mute, right? Everyone went silent. Yeah,
Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I've seen a lot of stuff, man, and I'm talking about a lot of stuff in this field, and it takes a lot for me to get speechless. I don't even
yeah,
what?
yeah. I think the only video game, if you call it a video game, I played on like Windows XP was like Hearts. I actually like that game
That's not
better
no,
than.
that's not a video game. No.
So I guess I never played a video game. Um,
Okay, well,
yeah,
what about mobile apps? Like
no,
mobile song.
no,
Oh my
I don't.
god. So you missed Clash of Clans completely.
I don't even know what that is. I
Oh
don't
my
even know what
gosh,
that is.
Pat.
Yeah, I don't do like I literally.
You know, there's like a whole underground of like cyber content creators that just play Pokemon Go, right? Like it's a whole underground thing. Like
Yeah,
we meet up and we play Pokemon Go. Like
yeah.
it's a thing.
That's why I say I'm a very unique in this community, and sometimes I'll make jokes with some friends. I'm like, do I even belong? You know what I mean? Because I'm
I feel
not.
like we need to protect you almost at this point. Like
Yeah, and it's interesting because like I grew up very very different, right? Very very different. So I never grew out of that way of being. You know, like like playing, grew up playing in the streets, playing manhunt, playing these things. And it's like that kept on going. Like I never really got into like the hermit life that you just sit in the
yeah.
house in a basement fucking playing video games. I never got into that world. I was always out in the streets. So
Well, I'm glad you went outside. I'm glad you were a normal kid.
yeah, yeah. Even still
It's,
today, like
yeah.
I'm only in my house when I have to like do videos or work. Like I like to, explore, go to the gym, go, still to today, play hockey, go out
Yeah.
and you know, see the world. I try not to be cooped up as much as I obviously if I'm doing a video or whatever, working, but
That's a
other
little different.
yeah,
Yeah.
other than that, I don't sit here and play on my computer just because I'm going to play something and yeah, that's another fun fact if you didn't know.
You're
Yeah,
more of an outdoor cat than an inside cat.
yeah, yeah. Need to get Pat on that Mario Kart 64. Nah,
Oh, fun fact, I was on a Mario Kart league all through COVID. That's how I coped with COVID. I joined an esports league and that's all I did. I played Mario Kart professionally. I have
oh
over
yeah,
100 hours on my Nintendo Switch just in Mario Kart. Yeah.
and
Oh,
and
my
that's
phone.
a good point. Arm wrestling, I do, and it sucks because where I'm at now, I got into like an arm wrestling league, like go to meetups and actually go to a gym, like an arm wrestling gym, and now I'm leaving. So FedEx, if you know any arm wrestling places up where we're gonna be, you better let me know. Yeah, I'm interested in hijack my body and get ripped. Yeah, get hacked or get jacked, or get jacked or get hacked, right? So yeah, we'll definitely work out. We'll definitely get that going. Um, yeah. So we have a few more minutes. I don't want obviously I want to be respectful of your time. Any other questions from anyone out here? And if not, uh, games are the worst time. I just want to code
I
hack.
like this comment.
Yeah, Glenn is a character. Hopefully, I want to maybe I'll try to come up there. I'll hit you up, Glenn. Just shoot me a message. I want to maybe I'll go up to beside Jacksonville. We'll see if everything is good with the house. Maybe we'll take a drive up there. So, uh, I guess the last thing, like before we wrap up, is if you want to throw your channel in the chat, you can go ahead and so obviously and different ways that people can contact you and if they want to ask questions or get in contact, connect, and all that good stuff. So, you want to shoot that in here, you can shoot it in the private chat, and I'll throw it in here. That's not a problem either. That's easier.
Sure
What's the most
thing.
difficult part of your job? All right, this will be the last question. Um, I
Yeah,
want to.
I would say to kind of answer the follow-up question. Yeah, definitely follow me on LinkedIn. It's Reanna Schultz on LinkedIn. The best thing about my first name, not a whole lot of people have it. So, and then let's see here. What were the other questions?
I think what was the most difficult part of your job was one,
Yeah,
and then
there was one about how intimidating my first job was, I believe.
let's.
It
Oh yeah,
was
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it
There you
was.
go.
I'm not gonna lie. It was really intimidating. I was an intern, and every one on my team had at least 10 years of experience underneath them. And I'm coming in right out of college, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I will never be like these people. They speak a different language. I have no idea what they're talking about. And I was like, I think I remember, reading this in a textbook, or something like that. But it was kind of a good thing. It was like having a big, giant family. It's like I had a lot of older siblings almost, is what it felt like. And
Mm-hmm.
they take you underneath the wing and they're like, oh yeah, don't do that. And you're like, why?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, just don't do that. And you're like, well, I'm going to do it. And they're like, you're not going to enjoy it. And, you learn the lesson the hard way. But they're there to give you those warning signs. So it was really, really, really cool.
Cool. All right. Last question here is what's the most difficult part of your job? I'm guessing now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm on the leadership side now on things. And I think one of the most biggest, and I kind of felt this even when I was like more of a practitioner in the weeds, it was working with the business a lot. And having that brand, that security isn't a roadblock within a business, right? We're trying to work together as a single team. And that's something I often hear in the community as well. And that's such a hard thing, especially when it comes down to security needing new tools, new continuous education, and stuff like that. We do not make the company revenue. We ask for a lot of money for a lot of expensive things. Someone told me the analogy like security is the people that drive a Ferrari, but they don't have a job on a Tuesday. And I'm like, no, I was like, nah. And I was like, oh my gosh, I understand why now. But, and it's bringing that perspective in, right? And just being like, hey, this is how you can collaborate with security. This is how we can collaborate with different, business segments and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And it's so hard to sell security when people don't understand security. So really taking yourself out of your own perspective bubble and then putting you into someone else's shoes as well.
Yeah, yeah, that is very true. Cool. Sounds good. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I don't know if there's any other questions. I guess there's just one last one. And Glenn, awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely do dinner. So what was y'all's first InfoSec job and how long did it feel like you took to know you would do it? I guess I'll go first and then
Yeah.
I guess so my first InfoSec job, I guess when I was a system admin, I was doing without even knowing doing information security, right? Back then, we were dealing with something called SEP, semantic endpoint protection. We were doing firewall implementation. We were doing, you know, NTFS permissions, all these different things to VLANs, all these different things to segment your ACLs and access control lists, spam filtering. Like back then, we were using something called Barracuda for our email gateway. So all of this stuff was something in the security space without even realizing it. But when I actually got the first title as a security person, it was information security engineer, I think they called it. But what we actually did was, monitor and manage all the assets in the organization, like you said in the beginning of the stream, right? Like we're the first line of defense, and because I wasn't a pen tester, I wasn't on the offensive side right from the jump. Like that wasn't my thing. I was doing more of the defensive stuff and getting into the weeds on that side of the house, and I enjoy it. Right, I really enjoy that side, doing the defensive side, and hacking is always fun too. But yeah, and what is the second part? How did your life feel? Y'all knew what y'all doing.
I still don't
Yes.
know what I do.
Yeah. I pretty much like whatever is given to me. There's always a learning curve with everything, like from the jump, from when I first started till today. You know what I mean? Like there's always something that a new technology or a new thing, if it's Azure, AWS, or a
Yep.
new technology, like there's, just like I said, right? Like I'm not a programmer, but now maybe I'm going to learn how to use, Go language, or learn how to use KQL, or learn how to do something else. It's like I didn't sign up for it, but I guess I got to learn it because that's, it's evolving with the job. So, yeah, I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I just,
I always make the joke. I was like, remember when people used to be so afraid of the cloud, and now people are afraid of Chat GPT? And I was like, I can't wait for like 5 years down the road where we just have like walking drones in the streets, and people are like, what is this?
exactly. Exactly. Awesome. So I think we're on top of the hour. So I just want to say thank you so much. And until next time, guys, thank you. And see you probably in a few weeks. I'll probably have to take a few weeks off, just to be honest. I'll probably try to make some videos and maybe some shorts or whatever. But live, it won't be probably a month. It'll probably be until I get settled in a new place and get everything set up. So if I don't see you guys in the interim,